If you grew up in America in the 80s, you probably remember watching Saturday morning cartoons, MTV putting music videos up for all your favorite songs, drive-in movies, and the freedom you probably shouldn't have had to walk around unsupervised. Perhaps you also remember the faces of missing children on your milk cartons during breakfast. Well, why did those faces on the milk carton fade out of public consciousness, and how effective really was the program? In this documentary, I'll be touching on the rise and fall of the missing milk carton program, and how its failures caused the US government to create one of the most effective procedures to find abducted children, the Amber Alert system. Here's the missing milk carton program, a pivotal turning point in the recovery of abducted children. Well, what was the missing milk carton program? The Missing Milk Carton program was a strategy created in 1985 when societal values encouraging individualism and community engagement were peaking due to the emerging conservative values under the Reagan administration. With the goal to publicize missing children to the general public in order to gain community engagement for search efforts, a child's name, picture, date of birth, height, race, and date last seen would be displayed on missing milk cartons. These cartons would then be distributed to households around America with the hopes that publicizing missing children will bring them home. Before this program, there had been no system in the United States for tracking missing children nationwide. According to the New York Times in a newspaper published February 24, 1985, each year about 1.5 million children are reported missing in the United States. About 4,000 to 5,000 are believed abducted by strangers. This unusual idea of publishing missing children on milk cartons came to life because on August 12, 1984, 13-year-old Eugene Wade Martin went missing in his neighborhood of Des Moines, Iowa, 2 months after Johnny Ghosh, another child of the area, also went missing. According to DesMoinesRegister.com, in September 1984, 2 months after the disappearance, James Erickson of Anderson Erickson Dairy Company decided to print photos and a description of Eugene and Johnny on their milk cartons to distribute locally, much how like local newspapers were doing. Erickson thought that this would be beneficial, seeing as milk is a breakfast staple in America, and seeing the faces of Eugene and Johnny might help encourage the search effort. After that, the idea of putting missing children on milk cartons skyrocketed. Dairies across the country started to publish missing children, but instead of locally, they were pushing for countrywide publication. January 1985, the National Child Safety Council, or the NCSC, released the Missing Milk Carton program. A sense of community-wide responsibility to help track down these missing children began to develop, partially due to the societal values of the 80s, encouraging community engagement being at an all-time high. According to the New York Times, more than 600 dairies across the country were participating in the program, and make sure you remember this for later, sightings of missing children increased 30 to 50% nationally since the campaign started. People were glad this alarming rate of children was finally being addressed. Things were looking great for the program, and people really thought they were doing good for abducted children, but then backlash started to be heard. In a New York Times article published August 16, 1985, author Albert Scardino writes about how the statistics being given about missing children have no way to be proven. Sightings of missing children had increased 30 to 50%, but what does that really mean? Anyone could have called in a sighting. And how many of these sightings led to a successful recovery of the child? Reportedly, not many at all. There had only been one case solved by the program, and that was that of Bonnie Lomans, but we'll get to that story later. Additionally, there was no real vetting process to who could be posted as a missing child. When people saw someone posted as a missing person, they would almost always assume that it was some abduction by a stranger. But this was not the case a majority of the time. Children were often reported as missing because they were taken by a non-custodial guardian or ran away on their own accord. Having no real filter about who could be posted meant there was also a chance of racial bias when it came to who could be put on a milk carton, and white children were a lot more likely to be featured. According to the U.S. Department of Justice, in 1997, while making up 15% of the U.S. population, black children were 42% of all non-family abductions. When children are subjected to seeing the faces of plethoras of missing children every morning, anxiety starts to kick in. Parents seeing the faces of these missing children really started to enforce this statement of stranger danger.
Be polite and friendly, but have you taught them when not to be?
Hi there. Do you live around here?
Uh-huh.
You going to school?
Yes.
Well, I could give you a ride.
Last year, 50,000 children disappeared, many of them from nice, safe neighborhoods.
It's okay. Come on, help me.
Talk to your children about not talking to strangers, and do it today.
In an article by the Chicago Tribune written in 1986, author Ginny Hartzmark discussed the nationwide paranoia the missing milk carton program had caused. A quote taken from this article reads, "We have done such a good job of scaring kids," says Dolores Ringel, a Cleveland grandmother of 2, "that we've given them a warped view of the world. I tried to talk to an absolutely adorable 11-year-old sitting across the aisle from me on an airplane, and she absolutely refused to speak to me. Her mother explained that she had been taught not to talk to strangers. There's something wrong when we make children so terrified they can't evaluate the risk in an everyday situation. The program ended up traumatizing children, and a question needed to be asked. Was traumatizing children worth it for such little results being shown?" The milk carton program was not all bad, though. It raised public awareness of child abductions and had a wide reach around the USA. Bonnie Loman, the one child who had been recovered due to a milk carton ad, had this to say about the program on the true crime podcast, Criminal.
"I believe that I am who I am because I was on a milk carton and I was found, and I had opportunities with my dad growing up that I might not have had with my mom. I was able to live a great life, and I'm grateful for it."
You see, Bonnie had been abducted by her mother and stepfather, and she had been taken to Hawaii, then to Colorado. One day while Bonnie was with her stepfather at the store at the age of 7, she stumbled upon her picture on a milk carton, and her stepfather let her keep it as a cutout. Because Bonnie had not been to school and could not read, she found her picture on the milk carton to be cool. Bonnie had then went to her friend's house and left the cutout there, and her friend's mom found it and called the cops frantically. Bonnie was then reunited with her biological father, and realized only later in life she had been robbed of crucial parts of her childhood. After only 2 years of being in existence, the missing milk carton program slowly faded into the back of people's minds, partially due to the desensitization of missing children it caused people, and partially due to the general public beginning to question the effectiveness of the program. Milk cartons changed from paper to plastic, and it again seemed like there was no official way of reporting missing children nationwide. This era lasted from the late 1980s to 1996. Media consumption slowly started to value the digital, like television, instead of traditional forms of media, like newspapers, and thus our attention span started favoring fast-paced media consumption. On January 13th, 1996, a 12-year-old girl, Amber Hagerman, was kidnapped and murdered while riding her bike in Arlington, Texas. After Amber's body was found, it was revealed that she was alive for 48 hours after her abduction. Outrage was felt in the Dallas-Fort Worth area and soon was widespread. Everyone knew there needed to be a change about how we go about rescuing abducted children. According to the FBI, 74% of children who are found murdered are killed within 3 hours of abduction. But there's typically a 2-hour delay before parents report a child missing to law enforcement. There was no effective mechanism to alert the public of an abducted child because TV and newspapers sometimes took hours to release crucial information, and this needed to be changed. From this need, the Amber Alert system was developed. According to AmberAlert.gov, the Amber Plan, an acronym for America's Missing Broadcast Emergency Response, was a plan to help abducted children in the quickest way possible, through the use of rapidly displaying a child's information through cell phones or billboards in a matter of 3 hours or less. This new system for finding abducted children is wildly successful in comparison to the missing milk carton program, as the Amber Alert system is credited in rescuing 1 in 4 children who are displayed. In total, the system has contributed to the recovery of 1,146 children, opposed to the missing milk carton program, who is credited of saving 1 child. On April 30th, 2003, the Amber Alert system was signed into law, and now all 50 states use it. Communities are now more informed and vigilant about abducted children than ever. Lawmakers have been constantly reviewing and enhancing policies related to missing children, and the Amber Alert system as a whole has been adopted internationally by 31 countries. In conclusion, the shift from the missing milk carton program to the Amber Alert system highlights a needed change in how we deal with child abductions. Using the knowledge gained from studying the ineffective aspects of the missing milk carton program, including ethical flaws like racial bias, not only were the ineffective aspects of the missing milk carton program studied, so were the effective aspects such as the urgency of community involvement when recovering an abducted child and easily reaching homes across America. While both of these systems were huge leaps in the right direction towards the retrieval of abducted children, the Amber Alert system shines true as a highly proven and well thought out strategic move towards more efficient recovery. The Amber Alert system is a testimony to how critical thinking and looking into our past to correct mistakes can lead us to an effective and practical solution for the future.